how's it going?
Hello.
Where are you guys at right now?
Brooklyn in my apartment.
Oh, nice.
Brooklyn also.
Brooklyn also. Very nice.
In my car.
It works. It works. That's great.
The only person I know with a car.
Oh my God. Especially in New York, yeah.
Yeah.
So, is it cold out there because it's freezing here?
I mean, of course, like either way, I'm probably just like, I feel like pushing myself just to hang out in my bedroom anyway, so I'm not ever really sure, like, what it's like. But for the most part, yeah, no, it's frigid, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Strangely below freezing yesterday morning.
Oh, yeah.
April, what day is it?
Oh, yeah.
Strangely cold even for New York right now.
So, with things starting to open up, are you guys, is the live music scene coming back to life here in New York, or what's going on?
Oh my God. I mean, I went to a live show at this place, Berlin, on like 2nd and A, which is like downtown East Village, and it was so fucking weird. I mean, it was amazing, but I mean, truly, it took me a minute because basically, I mean, it's probably what you would imagine. This place is a hole, like tiny, can't ever see anything.
Perfect.
And so there was like this clear, like, I don't know, plastic that separated the bar from you, which I'm sure the bartenders were really stoked about because no one was like screaming at them. And, but then, yeah, everyone was separated in twos. And, so you could kind of get up, you could kind of like move a little bit. I knocked over multiple drinks at my table because
Oh, no.
I didn't really have that much to move.
Oh my
But
God.
I mean, it was incredible. Like truly, it was such a sobering moment, and at the same time, like so euphoric. That is like one of the biggest inspirations for us. It's like New York is so important to our sound. Just living here, but also being able to hear everybody else in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so excited.
We're thinking by July, we're starting to really get back into shows in New York. Fortunately, New York seems to be ahead of everybody else vaccination-wise, at least in our world. So they're already starting to kind of book for a somewhat 50% capacity summer, possibly better.
Nice.
We're looking forward to that.
That's really exciting. Yeah. I mean, it seems like live music is like at the heart of your guys' sound, honestly, and like, yeah, that's exciting to get back.
We also feel that there's been such a drought of it that it's going to be so much excitement. We want to be right there at the forefront when the shows come back. We want to make sure we're there because I think people are just going to go crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be an explosion. I'm really excited. I'm excited for that.
So many mosh pits filled with people crying.
Yes, yeah. That communal release of being locked up for this long is going to be amazing. Absolutely. I know. Being able to touch people in a crowd that sounds weird, but so I love your guys' sound. I just want to say right off the bat, I get a huge New Order kind of Kate Bush, Blondie vibe from it, and I'm super digging it. I just wanted to know what got you guys into music?
Well, first, basically, what you just said actually makes me happy because there's three such disparate influences right there, and we kind of go out of our way to make sure we don't get pigeonholed in one sound, and hopefully it all coalesces together in some way. But I mean, we really are trying to really sound like a mixture of a lot of different things. It's interesting that you say that with a straight face. It means we're somewhat accomplishing it, so I'm glad to hear that.
I certainly don't mean it as an insult or anything. You guys don't, or not.
No, good.
Honestly.
So yeah, I mean, the project started a few years ago, when I first met Alex. But I'd already been, she'd been doing music before, I've been doing music before. I've been working as an engineer and producer for years. But we wanted to do something very cinematic and something that kind of was all over the place and kind of made you visualize something.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more of a studio project before it was a live act, because I have a studio. So we spent a lot of time just getting the sound right. We threw away a lot of ideas, and so this was a long time coming. And then the live thing that worked out for us so well, just kind of what came later of just we really became a live band. But the truth is, it really started as really just locking ourselves in a studio and writing and rewriting and reproducing.
And fighting.
Did you guys meet each other through making the music, or were you friends already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a mutual friend brought us together and thought it would work.
Yeah, I mean, I met her at probably 4 a.m. at this terrible bar downtown, and she was like, "Oh, like you sang, like like I play piano. Let's go back to your house." And then like I was just like drunkenly playing like guitar and bass or something. It just was like, don't ever let me play bass, truly. And like we wrote this like song with this like really original title, which is Follow Me. Perfect. Wow, it was so amazing. So then she's like, yeah, I want you to meet this producer. So next day, hungover as shit, met Jimmy in he had a studio in Connecticut in the woods at that point, and we showed up with the worst song ever, completely hungover. And I walked into his studio, and I was like, at that point it was like do or die. I like basically was like, no, absolutely not. Scratch that song, scratch that chick. Like, I need to just like write something with him right off the bat. Like, absolutely not. This is my like one opportunity to really be able to do something.
So I was reading a little bit about you guys, and I know that speaking of like being hungover and stuff, that you guys bonded a bit over darkness and depression and stuff like that, and Sylvia Plath specifically, actually. And I saw that was where the name Silkworm came from. But could you guys tell me a little bit more about like what part of Sylvia Plath it comes from, and if there's any other meaning there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, this is I really read everything by her, and so had Jimmy. But at that point, I was really diving deep into her diaries that she was writing when she was in England with Ted Hughes. And for a lot of there were two words in particular that really struck a chord with me that were consistent throughout her work, and one was silk and the other was veils. And veils we use a lot like lyrically, but silk to me really stood out, and I know to Jimmy as well that we really loved that. And so, and by the way, like trying to like figure out a band name that like wasn't semi-used. I mean, like that took forever, man. So we wanted to do that, and then we wanted to find something oxymoronic in contrast to silk. So we came upon the word war, and after just like a quick Google search, I like found from this underground Wikipedia that was probably written in like some dude's basement that he like said that the wars were fought for casually as the luxuries of women.
Very interesting.
And
Really?
the luxuries the luxuries of women for me. I mean, first of all, it's like semi-insulting, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Luxuries of women are rooted in like a soft fabric, but I think for us now, really, the luxuries of women, unfortunately, are still like equality of body and mind, and so that's really what we're pushing towards. I mean, not just but equality in general.
Yeah. It's also really funny that they put that on women's luxuries when it's obviously like an industry that they wanted to make money off of, not just because women were so demanding of their silk or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Exactly. Our corsets and skirts were scapegoats.
yeah, yeah, really. So I've been listening to Slender Slander a bunch over the past couple of days, and I love an upbeat song that uses its upbeat, fun nature to disguise a heavier message. I just wanted to know. Well, I guess I'm gonna spoil everything myself. I want to let you guys talk about it. Where did the inspiration come from for the song? Because I know that you talk a bit about gun violence and gun control, but was there something specifically that inspired you to write that song?
I mean, lyrically, yeah. I mean, I think it was just after Parkland, we discussed. We had the idea of, I think, from basically, it was very perceptive what you just said. I was kind of thinking like something like the Clash's Rock the Casbah or something like that. It's like this crazy disco-sounding song, but the meaning is so serious about like Western countries fighting over oil and things like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And I thought it was such a cool idea, and so we kind of combined just those two things happened at the same time of wanting to do that and Parkland happening. She can speak more to the lyrics of it, but the overall idea of doing that, like you just mentioned, was definitely a thought of it, and we wanted to kind of do something because we'd also just done a couple of pretty dark songs, and you got to kind of pull yourself out of it sometimes. So it had multiple purposes, musically and feel-wise, but lyrically, she can speak more to the lyrics of it now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it was definitely right after the Parkland school shooting that I mean, I know that it devastated everyone. It devastated the nation, devastated the world. But the thing is that these shootings in general have become completely normalized, and these mass shootings. I mean, like literally, even since like what happened in Atlanta, I think there have been like 45 mass shootings. Like in 2021, there've been like 150.
Wow.
This is something that is numbing us as a race, and to me, it's terrible, and it needs to be stopped. And I think that there are like a lot of empty ways in order to, try to fix it, but there are a lot of good ways to fix it too. And I think for us with our art, why with the upbeat song we wanted to use those lyrics, it's just a different strategy. It's meant to fool the enemy. And because obviously we don't think that much of our enemy. However, there is this like unbelievable power that they hold. So it's just incredibly difficult to talk about, honestly, but we have to in order to shed some sort of light onto it.
Right.
For sure.
The depressing part is no matter when we would release this, it's timely.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No matter what, like it's every week. There's been one every week since what she's talking about. So it's just sad how little's moved on this at all.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
It's the same talking points like every time. Were you
Like,
gonna say something?
I was gonna say, like, like she said, like we're kind of numb at this point about everything, because what was it, like the last shooting? Like I saw it on the news, and I was just like, wow, okay, well, here goes another one. Like,
Yeah. Oh, the same day that Derek Chauvin got convicted, there was a young girl that was shot in Columbus,
Right.
here in Columbus.
Here in Columbus.
And it was just like, as soon as there's a win, it's like we're already going backwards. Like it's just like,
Well, that's what she brings up in the lyrics about your thoughts and prayers. Like you can keep saying it. They mean nothing. They're completely meaningless. And I thought it was powerful to use that in lyrics. Point that out.
I agree.
I remember when we were discussing that, using actually thoughts and prayers, because to me, I really didn't want it. First of all, I'm a ranter in general, and I really like twisting, as you can probably imagine. And I love twisting and writing things differently, and I didn't want to use that because I thought it was so overused by the enemy, but also by, people who are actually sane in the head and humane. And I didn't want to do it. And Jimmy really pushed for us to use that to make it click. Not necessarily to understand maybe of the more esoteric lyrics, but to have that click in someone's head, they hear that right away. So that was like a battle that, that I think that, we both won in that respect, but I did give Jimmy some trouble with that, but we did with that for sure.
I think it comes off really like nuanced in the song, and I mean the title and everything, like the Slender Slander of like people basically using these things to push a political like agenda, or covering it up with very thin excuses for why we shouldn't do anything about it or something. Like I thought that was very poetic. I think a lot of your guys' songwriting is pretty nuanced. Honestly, I really liked Barcelona, as well as we were talking about before. Actually, I had a question about Barcelona, because Alexander, you kind of change up your voice in that song a bit and kind of go a bit higher. And was there any
reason behind that?
Yeah. What was your inspiration? Yeah, I guess what was your
Oh my God! First of all, thank you for realizing that. I know I have a very low, like.
Yeah, you got a low register. Yeah.
Teen obsessed voice for sure.
It's good.
So, no, thank you for noticing that. So that song in particular, Barcelona, Jimmy really wanted to write a song about Barcelona. This is probably the best way that I can explain it. And he wanted to write the lyrics for it as well. He had the idea, he wanted to write about the love of the city, things of that nature. And I became like so defensive, like, like a mother grasping at her children, you know what I mean? Like that's how I felt. And I was like, absolutely not, me like 24 hours, like I'll do the first verse lyrics and I'll do the melody. And so for me, going up high is kind of like that weapon that you don't bring out until you absolutely need to do it. And it made me uncomfortable, but I think that's also what makes great art, is that when you go outside of your comfort zone and do something that, like for me, which is so funny, going into like a flighty head voice is actually where I lose myself. But it really does happen. Yeah.
it's outside the
And
comfort zone. It's yeah.
yeah. And that really came from like, like Stevie Nicks does that a lot, and I really wanted to do something like that. Um, and also I think because the lyrics in the first verse, there's a lot of anger behind it.
Hmm.
Again, kind of with Slender Slander, I love when the music and the lyrics kind of like go back and forth and constantly debate each other.
Yeah. Kind of juxtaposed against each other. Yeah. No, exactly. And I think that by not pulling out that part of your voice, not going to the head voice all the time, it becomes a more effective tool when you do, because it's not it's like, oh, this is a different sentiment. Like this is a different feeling because of that. You kind of have a different gear to shift into. I don't know. I thought that was cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Will, I think you had a question you wanted to ask him.
Yeah. So to look into the album coming up, is there any songs in particular in the 11-track album that you personally like the most? Like you look forward to it. You're excited about it. You want everyone to hear
you want people to like it the most. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're getting into the favorite kid territory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That is fair. I always feel like when I ask that question, it's like, oh, that's so hard. But like, I'm like, there's that one that's like, you might just play just again.
Yeah.
And again.
But just like your kids, you got a kid that's it gets on your nerves a little bit less than
That
the
might
other
that might get a little treat, by the end of the night.
For me, it evolves actually. It's probably been every single one of those songs at a different point of this process, which I think probably is a good sign, meaning that I'm kind of proud of how they turned out. I mean, overall, emotionally, Sylvia is probably the most emotional one to me, personally, because it's kind of what brought us together. And it's kind of like it was where my headspace was at that point. I think it kind of spoke to what I wanted to speak to at that point. But then, I think probably right now is probably Barcelona for me too. Right now, I still go back to and listen to. But yeah, it's completely, because again, this record took us a while to do, and we tweaked it for so long. There's different. Some people write, say, 30 songs for an album, and say they just knock them out and say, okay, best 10 of the record. We don't do that. Everything we wrote is what you're hearing pretty much, and we just keep tweaking, which means you kind of have to love it, because otherwise you would have thrown it, out ages ago. So, yeah, I know it's like a cliched answer, but the truth is, like, I can't really pick one. It's been different ones. Alexandra may feel differently lyrically also.
Like just to do it, the two songs that have not been released yet that I'm really most excited about, I think the first one would have to be My Familiar, which is the second to last song on the record. It's 8 minutes long, like really.
Damn, all right. I love
but
it.
it really goes through this like psychedelic and hard journey, and I especially love playing that live because I really like. I normally, not that I like plan anything, but that's really the point. There's like this long instrumental. And I really, I just like normally go out into the crowd and just like push people, and it just like becomes like really wild, exciting moment. And I do remember one time I did push David Johansen from the New York Dolls once, and I really felt bad about that. I like pushed him, and I was like, oh, fuck, sorry.
I'm sure he appreciated
I didn't
it.
mean to.
I'm sure he appreciated it. He's part of the crowd.
That song I love. That song, My Familiar, is about like, how witches or things of that nature have animals to kind of translate the world for them, their humanity. So that's what that is. But the other one lyrically, probably the most for me, is Lark Mirror, which is a really introspective song. That the name of it I got from Jean-Paul Sartre's play No Exit. And basically a lark mirror, so a lark is a songbird, right? And they use mirrors, the light of the mirror, or like if you really want to go there, the reflection. They use that, and as soon as the bird gets close enough, they kill it. So that's kind of how I felt.
That's very evocative.
Yeah. So I think both of those in particular. But what Jenny said, every single song on that record is a world of its own, and I'm super, super fucking proud of it.
Did you guys start out in the literary world or something? Because you guys are both very well read.
Oh yeah.
Like, you guys got the philosophy coming in. You got Sylvia Plath coming in.
Vocabulary.
Is
like
this is this
philosophy.
are there a lot of illusions in your work? Usually, is there a lot of illusions or?
Absolutely. Look, I'll say this. I mean, Jimmy is incredibly well read, and I read. I mean, I'm a voracious reader. I will say that being a singer, it's the only instrument where you have words, right, and you have those lyrics. And so I found it to be. It didn't make sense to me to start singing at a young age and not be able to write what I was actually singing. Didn't make sense. So that's why I really like deep dove into everything, because if you want to be a good singer, you have to listen, or a musician, you have to listen. If you want to be a good lyricist, you have to, read. So
That's a good point.
yeah, I spent a lot of time alone.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but that will give you some good reading time for sure. Yeah, my entire childhood is the proof of that. So, well, I think you had another question about the song. I can't remember.
About the song?
Well, not the song, but
the album.
the
in
album.
general?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you said, but how long have you been working on this album? Like since 2020? Before that? Like.
Definitely before that.
Yeah.
Alex, do you know what the exact story is?
Jimmy and I met in 2017, I think. But we were really trying to figure out our sound. But I mean, honestly, the first song we wrote was Blue Hour, so yeah, that was like 4 years ago. So we were, the pandemic really stalled us in a lot of ways, because we wanted to release, but we, didn't really know how. But then, really we figured that the pandemic was a perfect time to release our music, because everything was a reflection of it, because it's all about being alone and being misunderstood and not being able to like really to deep dive into yourself.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, we've been writing this for a very long time. It's not necessarily because we are perfectionists, which we are, but we also really wanted to make sure that whatever we put out was really the best version of it.
But we also had the blessing and the curse of having our own studio to work out of, which is great and also a curse, because you can just for free keep going and going and going, and so we never had a deadline. So we just kind of
It's like keep on
took us
making
a while
more.
to be fully happy with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that could be
We got there.
a blessing and a curse. Sometimes
yeah.
you need someone to say stop, but also it's nice to have the freedom.
Yeah.
Well, you want to do the game?
Oh, the game. You know what? I forgot about the game. I think that we're kind of reaching the end of the interview here. So
Yeah.
I think
You're like,
I mean, we could. It's
No, shut
quick
up.
fire. We got 1 minute. We got 60 seconds to ask these quick fire questions.
go for it, Will. Go for it. That's all
Are
you.
you ready? So these questions.
We usually do these at the top of the interview to kind of be an icebreaker or whatever, but it's kind of a fun little exercise.
It'll send you guys off in a good mood. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be 60 seconds anyways.
Perfect.
So these are like either or questions or whatever like first thing that comes to your head. So let's pick, because I keep on picking the worst one. What's your favorite artist one? So soda or pop?
Soda, for sure.
The term, or aren't they the same thing?
Oh, come on, Jimmy, just answer the question.
I'm gonna overanalyze all of these.
Apple or PC?
Apple.
Nice.
Decisions.
Mac or PC?
Oh, well, that's the same question.
That's the same
That's
thing.
the same question.
If you had a superpower, what would you want it to be?
Invisibility. Disappear.
I'll go with that one. I'm overthinking it again.
It's all good.
First
it's all
thing
good.
that comes to mind, coffee or tea?
Gee,
Both.
Both. Okay.
What's your road trip snack if you stop at a gas station?
pretzels.
Oh my God, popcorn.
Popcorn.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh my God, and slushies.
And slushy. Okay.
Let's give her one of our new questions. Your first celebrity crush? Uh-oh.
Winona Ryder.
All right.
I think I full blown fell for Robert Smith.
Oh
Okay.
man, you guys are full on 80s.
I'm like, this is the fucking best though.
Absolutely.
Listen to it again. Try it.
Absolutely.
I was gonna go with Bee Gees. Different direction.
See, now there we go. I love the Bee Gees, but Radiohead, I feel like that's such a Rolling Stones top album. Everyone's gonna like love that shit. But
There is a group of there's definitely a group of people that are allergic to it for some reason.
yeah, that's a good point. All right, well, you got another one?
I can give him one more. Let's give him one of the new ones too. What's your isolation?
That's a tough one.
Especially during COVID,
Yeah, non-COVID.
Things are finally open.
Non-COVID.
Okay. First of all, do not take me to the High Line in New York. I mean, probably the best thing. I don't know. I'm not like a dinner date kind of person.
Yeah.
I kind of love relationships where like you can be alone together. So like, recently I went on a date with someone and we went to to a bookstore. They followed me through the bookstore and that was literally my worst nightmare. So I'll probably say the opposite. Like we do something like that, like go to Strand or something, but then like we both go off and then we can talk about it after or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's cute. I like
I
that.
don't take that much.
I'm going with classic film in a movie theater.
Yeah.
It's a standard. It's a class. It's standard for a reason. Yeah.
Like a Hitchcock movie, because New York has them. When you said post-COVID or pre-COVID, like that's one of the few things about New York is they play classic films in movie theaters all the time. It's such an amazing thing to do, and I find it amazing to do that. Share that with someone, especially if they've never seen the film before.
Oh yeah.
See seeing Casablanca on a huge screen is just such a powerful thing.
Oh, it totally is.
Only
yeah.
imagine. Holy crap.
We've only got about 1 or 2 theaters around us that actually go. Actually, we've got a great theater around us, Gateway Film Center, that does a whole Hitchcocktober month. They just play non-stop Hitchcock movies.
Invite me. Let's go see
They do it in my
Vertigo.
neighborhood. They do it in my neighborhood too, and it's called Hitchcocktober.
Oh my God! Yeah,
So
they probably stole it. Yeah.
It's on a big screen. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Stole that from Howard Stern.
Oh really? Yeah.
October, and then just do Hitchcock. Sorry.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up the interview. But thank you so much for joining us today. You guys were amazing guests.
Absolutely.
You guys had great answers. Everybody watching at home, Come Evening is the album. It's coming out on May 14th. Slender Slander is the new song. You guys check them out on all streaming platforms and everything. Check out their website, The Silk Ward, Guys, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
You guys are great.
You guys have a great day. Stay warm out there.
Thank you.
Let's stay safe. I'll see you guys later.
Peace.